Hi, how you doing? I hope you're doing well and welcome back. Today we are going to discuss this bizarre, ridiculous case that I came across this week and I was like, I have to let people know about this. This is insane. So this guy who's 19 years old, he's just a teenager. His name is Danyal Hussein from the United Kingdom, and homeboy made a deal with the devil. And here's what he wanted out of that deal. He made this deal so that he would win the mega lottery and to gain sexual potency. Really? Now, the only reason we know about him and his deal with the devil is because he was charged with murder. He murdered two women to be a blood sacrifice to this demon. These two victims, I can't believe how their parents felt knowing that this is why they died. Their names were Biba Henry and Nicole Smallman. Daniel said that he killed these two women as a blood sacrifice to hold up his end of the deal. Now, not only did he want to win the lottery, but he also wanted some girl from school to fall in love with him, and he thought this was the way to go about it. Now, these two women were celebrating a birthday of all things in the park. They were having a picnic, they were having a good time, taking pictures with each other and just enjoying and celebrating life. And this was last year in 2020, June 2020. So we already have a lot going on in the world. We have the pandemic was ramping up around this time, and these two women were just trying to enjoy their life, their birthday, trying to, have some sort of happiness within everything that was going on. And Daniel decided they were his perfect victims. They were alone when he approached them, attacked them, stabbed them several times, and then dragged them off into the bushes where he hid the bodies. He also took all the blood-soaked items like the blanket they were on and the cushions that they were sitting on, and he also put that with the bodies in the bushes. And he sort of put the bodies like intertwined. I don't know what that means because obviously we do not have pictures of that, thank God. But I guess maybe hugging each other, he put the bodies like that, which is so sick. He's such a sicko. Now, ultimately, he was caught by the police, brought in for questioning, and he just denied everything. He was like, it wasn't me, I wasn't there, knowing full well he was the killer. He had cuts on his hands from the knife, from the attack, because when you are murdering somebody, there is a struggle, and he cut his own hands. His DNA was all over the bodies, all over the knife. I mean, and he just was like, nope, it wasn't me. Not a very good defense. Let's go through this ridiculous contract now. Okay, so I'm going to pop it up here on the screen, but I'm also going to be reading it from my laptop. So we're going to go through this contract. So I'm a lawyer, and I'm going to go through this contract. It's a terrible contract, just off the bat. But, of course, don't take this as legal advice, okay? So, he says, for the mighty king and whatever that name is, perform a minimum of 6 sacrifices every 6 months for as long as I am free and physically capable. Sacrifice only women. Build a temple for you. Do everything that I have promised. And for me, win the Mega Millions Super Jackpot to receive fruitful rewards in return for the future sacrifices that I make to you. The rewards could consist of wealth and power. To never be suspected of any crimes by the police, and also that the police will never know of any crimes that I have done and that I will do. And now we see he signed it. He signed his own name in blood, and then he left a part for his demon friend to sign, but as we can see, it was unsigned. So I don't know how he thought that this contract was binding in any way when there's only one signature and it wasn't witnessed by anybody anyway. So I'm trying to figure out which part of this contract he thought was binding, and terribly done contract at that. These are some very ridiculous terms, but I mean, somebody who believes they're making a contract with a demon, I mean, they're not making much sense in the first place. Now, Danyal received the mandatory life sentence for the murder of these two women. Life imprisonment was the maximum sentence and mandatory sentence that he could get for murder. The death penalty was abolished in the UK in 1998, so the most you can get is life imprisonment. Now, from reading the articles about this case, it seems like Danyal Hussein's defense was just complete denial of all the evidence against him. We would think that, okay, he's cuckoo bananas, he's crazy. Why didn't his legal counsel mount a defense of insanity? Clearly, this person is not right in their head. Well, there's probably a really good reason for that, and that's because insanity in law is completely different from insanity in terms of mental illness and being not of sound mind, really. So here's why the insanity defense would not have worked for Danyal. Now, insanity in terms of the law is defined as a defect of mental reasoning by a disease of the mind, so that the defendant does not know the nature and quality of his act. So a defect is where the defendant, a defect of mental reasoning is where the defendant cannot properly reason things out at the time, and not just that they didn't exercise reason at that moment. So it's an impossibility for them then, because of the disease that they suffer. It could be physical or it could be mental, psychological, but it has to be shown and proven by a medical expert that this disease acted on your mind to produce a defect of mental reasoning, meaning that it prevented you from, exercising proper reasoning. Not that you just didn't think about the fact that what you were doing was wrong at the time. And with Danyal, there seems to be, we don't have the transcripts of the court case to know for sure, but I'm sure that they probably could not come up with a medical diagnosis for him that would have explained his defect of mental reasoning at the time. He just made his decisions based on what he wanted from this contract with the demon. Also, the disease has to affect the fact that you do not know the nature and quality of your acts. So you will not be able to know that what you're doing is wrong, or that the effect of it. So that if he had a mental problem or a physical problem that affected his ability to think things through, and he did not realize that stabbing up these women were going to actually result in their murder for whatever reason, then this defense would have worked for him. But we need a medical expert with a diagnosis of some sort of physical or psychological ailment, that not just having a physical or mental ailment will suffice. It has to be shown again that it affected and prevented you from properly thinking things through. And because we can see that he has obviously delusional thought processes, that in itself does not suffice. According to R versus Bell, an insane delusion does not qualify as a mental defect and does not qualify as a disease of the mind. So that defense would not have worked for him anyway. In fact, as a lawyer, I've not seen any mitigating circumstances that would have helped his case come down from murder to manslaughter anyway, because for murder the mandatory sentence is life. If he had somehow gotten it mitigated down to manslaughter, then the sentencing could have been less than life, but there was no mitigating circumstances. He was ruthless, he thought this through, and he did all of this for selfish personal gains, even though he had an insane delusion that he was going to get riches and sexual potency from a demon. He did this for his own gain and benefit, so there was no mitigating circumstances as far as I've seen. But again, I don't have all the evidence of this case in front of me to see if there was some sort of better defense. So we have seen that this contract was terrible. It was an insane delusion. He is, I don't even know how to classify him as evil, as crazy. Like, he just really delusional and ruthless. I mean, to watch two women having a good time and then just run up on them and start stabbing them up is terrible. Again, if you are ever going to enter into a contract, please have a licensed attorney look it over before you sign, and make sure you're not signing a contract with the devil. That's my good advice for you today. So I hope you enjoyed this video, and let me know down below what you think about this insane case. And until next time, bye.